Good afternoon. We're going to start in just a few minutes, but we want to give a few seconds for anyone who had not already registered to complete the registration and get their link back to join us for the webinar.
Looks like we're at about 35 participants. 2 minutes after, not too many more people coming in. I think we could get started. Well, welcome everyone, and thanks for being here. My name is Wesley Shackelford. I'm the Deputy Director of the Texas Indigent Defense Commission, and I'm joined today by Bill Cox, the Director of Public Defense Improvement at TIDC. We'll be tag teaming a presentation. We're joined by Kristen Meeks, a Senior Policy Analyst at TIDC, who's going to help us run this webinar and keep up with your questions. So that's my first reminder, is this is a webinar format Zoom. So we'd ask that you put your questions into the Q&A at the bottom of your screen, and we'll answer those as we come to the issue or at the end of the presentation. We don't think that the presentation won't take an hour, and we'll obviously be here to answer whatever questions you may have. With that, today we're going to be talking about the submission of criminal and juvenile indigent defense plans using our existing system. And so this is going to be an overview of that process, as well as a review of some of the new requirements. There's a couple of new requirements this go round. That process will launch through a mailing that will go out to all of the administrative judges and juvenile board chairmen, probably late next week. And then that will be followed with planned emails to those same judges with links to approve their plans. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Bill to kind of walk us through some of the new stuff.
Thank you, Wesley. Good afternoon. Welcome. If you are familiar with our indigent defense plan process, this will be very similar to what you've dealt with prior biennial updates. As Wesley mentioned, it is on the same site you've used before. There are a couple of updates. However, we also recognize that there are people new to their roles. So we want to provide this training to give you a walkthrough and show you what's changed and answer any questions you may have, whether you're an old hand or you're new to the process. To give you a quick overview of where we're going to talk about the new plan requirements, review the process. Then Wesley will do a in-depth walkthrough of plan updates, updating the contacts, everything that needs to happen, setting things up for you to, if you've made changes, vote with either the majority of your judges hearing felony and our misdemeanor cases, or your juvenile board to approve your any plan updates, and then give you a peek behind the curtain at the new site we are developing to take Texas indigent defense plans into the 21st century, and to give a lot of value back to you and answer questions you've been asking TIDC since we began collecting data. As you're looking at the plans, we still have our templates available on our website. This is the standard, as we call it, government website, tidc.texas.gov. Once you're there, if you go to the improvement tab, you will see an option for model forms, and then under model forms, you will find templates for adult plans and juvenile plans. Looking at each of the templates, there are guides set up whether you have a rotational attorney appointment system, a rotational system that also uses a public defender's office, a contract system, and for adults, whether or not you're using the regional public defender's office for capital cases in your program. The first one of the changes that we wanted to highlight deals with attorney contracts. If you're a jurisdiction that contracts with an attorney to handle cases for a certain period of time, for either a fixed amount per case or for all the cases handled, there's an update that must be included in your plans. And that is that while for many years we have required the contracts to specify the maximum number of cases an attorney may receive, We did not have that requirement for contracts lasting less than 7 days, which do not have to be in writing. Because they don't have to be in writing, the plans now have to specify for all contracts the annual maximum number of cases that the county may appoint to an attorney, whether it's juvenile cases, adult felony cases, or adult misdemeanor cases. And that needs to be reflected in each one of the plans. Remember also with contracts that prior requirements still exist. If the contract's over 7 days, it needs to be in writing. It must specify the maximum caseloads that an attorney can receive, and executed copies of each contract with each attorney need to be updated to the indigent defense plan for adult felonies, adult misdemeanors, and juvenile cases if as part of your program. The other change we wanted to highlight deals with capital murder appointments. Many counties already deal with how appointments for capital murder cases will be handled in their indigent defense plan. If you don't have one in your adult plans, then you need to have at least the minimum language from the template reflecting that the relevant appointing authority will appoint at least 2 attorneys, at least one of whom is qualified for death penalty cases as soon as practical after charges are filed, unless the state gives notice in writing that it will not seek the death penalty. That's the exact language out of the Code of Criminal Procedure. I do want to highlight that, again, just like anything else with indigent defense plans, the timeframes in the Code of Criminal Procedure for 1 day from transmission of a request from counsel from the magistrate or other individual who receives the request to the appointing authority, and 3 days for the appointing authority to review, rule upon, and appoint counsel if the person qualifies in our rural counties under 250,000, and 1 day for counties over 250,000 still apply. So unless you're in a county where the state has issued a blanket statement that it will not seek the death penalty, if someone is arrested on a capital charge, requests counsel, and qualifies, then if that's not filed almost instantly with the request for counsel, 2 attorneys will need to be appointed. And with that, let me pass over to Wesley to go through for the step-by-step of going through the site and reviewing and updating your contacts and the plans.
Sounds good. Thanks, Bill. As in the past, this is going to be a similar system, so I'm thinking some of you all are maybe new to the process. For those others who've done it before, it may be a little bit old hat. So we talked about the email that's going to go out to the administrative judges and juvenile board chairs. That'll be around October 1st. That's your cue that the system is open for submission. And I'm going to show you what that looks like. There's going to be a link in that email that will take you directly to your plan, and you'll get one email for each plan for which you are an approving judge. So you may get more than one email if you're, for instance, the chairman of a juvenile board, as well as a local administrative district judge, for instance. So I'm going to share my screen. So hopefully you can see a list of officials. So once you click that link and log in, you will need to have your username and password. And if you don't have that, you'll have to go to the website and do a password reset to get your password updated. Once you're logged in, this is the screen it will take you to. This is just an example from a prior year's process. You can see at the top, this is a 3-county district and county court plan. So this is the criminal court plan for this 3-county area. And the very first thing it asks you to do is to review the administrative judges and out-of-county arrest contacts. This is a pretty long list because it's 3 counties. So each of them, you can see who all of the local officials are. We really appreciate you taking a moment to go through these and make sure they're still accurate. Our partners at Texas A&M do work on this themselves, but we know these positions change from time to time, and this is what we know, and the only way we can communicate with you is if these are accurate. If they aren't, you can just click the change button and it'll prompt you to put in the last name of the new person. If they're already in the system, they'll come up and you can select that person. If it's a new person entirely that we don't have in our system to this point, it'll prompt you to enter the basic information about them, name, address, and phone number and email. So those are the key things, the email in particular, that we use. So once you've reviewed those officials, come down here to the Edit Submit Plan at the lower left-hand side of the screen. And this is going to take you to the plan editor. And this is what I'm going to walk us through. This system is based on these tabs at the top. So the plans are divided into sections, starting with a preamble. This is an optional category. The 6 required categories start with prompt magistration. So the plans are divided into 6 parts, plus forms. And so I'm going to just briefly touch on each of these. Each section has at the top a listing of the required elements. So these are the things that need to be covered in that section. And we always put the statutory or rule reference upon which that's based if you want to go look at the details of the underlying rule. Also, for each section, there are available templates. Sometimes there's one. In this case, there's one template that you could look to be sure you meet all the requirements. It would cover everything. And this could be useful if you're wanting to revamp your plan and maybe go back to more of a base plan. You just click the View button and it just opens in a new tab. This is text that you can then copy and paste if you're interested in using this. Going back to that editor, it's really just like a Word document. You can just go in and start typing. I don't want to mess with the Callahan plan, so I'm not going to make changes. But if I were to want to tweak something, maybe you've had a change in how your process works in this section, you would just type the changes in. You can copy and paste from a separate document, perhaps if you have your indigent defense plan in another file, maybe a Word document. If you do make changes to this plan and then click to another section, it will prompt you to save those changes. So just because you've typed it, it's not saved. This is a bit like our family protection plans. Alternatively, you can click this button and save the changes to that section as well. So anyway, these are the 6 sections. This is this indigent determination, minimum attorney qualifications. Once again, you can see the templates, prompt appointment of counsel, and then attorney selection process. I'll pause here for a second because this is where the 2 new requirements are that Bill just talked about. And that is that counties with short-term contracts, often these are called attorneys of the week or attorneys of the day, not necessarily even thought of as contract systems. But this is the new rule that our board adopted that requires that they have maximum annual caseloads for the attorneys that accept those attorney of the day or attorney of the week systems. So you would need to include that in the text of this section if you use that kind of a system. And really, you want to describe that system too. And then the second new requirement is to include procedures for appointing in capital cases. And many of the plans already have this, but you'll certainly want to review yours and make sure that it is in there. And if it's not, to go ahead and include that. There's 3 templates for this section. If you are strictly using an assigned counsel system, we default to call that a rotation system. Some places, many counties actually, are in the Regional Public Defender Office for capital cases. That's the second template. So that I think most of y'all already have that in your plans if you're a participating county. And then there's some places that have rotation as well as a public defender for appointments in general criminal cases. So there's some templates available there. Continuing over, there's the fee and expense payment process. That's the last of the 6 text sections. If you have some extraneous material that relates to your indigent defense plan that you don't feel like fits in any of these 6 boxes, we did give you a miscellaneous category. Most places don't use that. I think in general, it does fit in one of these 6 tabs. And then the last section that's really important is the forms section. And this is a listing up here, the select document type to upload a new form. This is the default types of forms that we have available that will automatically name whatever document it is that you want to upload. Down below, you can see all of the forms that have been filed or uploaded in the past. You can see when it was uploaded. And of course, you can click on it and see, this is a fee schedule from 2021. Oh, it didn't actually want to update. Didn't open on my page, but we'll take a look at that. But in any event, these are the documents. You want to make sure that they're still current. These are the things that tend to change the most. I'd say fee schedules are the most common one to change, but there may be others that you've updated since you've last submitted your plan. If you do have a new document, the process is just to click the name of the file. So if it was a fee schedule, you would click attorney fee schedule. You'll then go to browse and go find that file on your computer. So I think many of us have experience doing this, maybe submitting forms to your insurance company or otherwise. You just need to have that file on your computer to upload it. It'll then automatically name it. You can see the naming function is just the counties that are covered by this plan, the court levels covered by this plan, and then the name, which is the default name from above. You may have something that doesn't fit in these categories. If that's the case, you would click other forms and provide a short description of that form, and it will look like these affidavit of indigence. It'll just put whatever text you put there. So, try and be as clear in your description as you can be on that. The other area that this is important for is for folks who have contract defender systems. So often these are 1-year contracts. It's in use in about 35 counties. That's one of the requirements, is that you upload current contracts, the signed, active current contracts with your plan submission process. So please go ahead and click that. Make sure you have the contracts on your system. If you have multiple contracts, you could combine them into one PDF file. That's what a lot of jurisdictions do, and upload that. Then at the end of the process, once you've made all the edits that you need to, uploaded any new forms, you simply go over to the plan submission tab, and there would be a submit button here. There is not a submit button on this case because I didn't make any changes. So the system knows if I'd made edits and saved them or uploaded a new form, I would have a submit button that would appear here. That if you are the administrative judge, then it'll show down here at the bottom that you approved it. This just shows the last time these were approved. These were actually updated recently with some changes that were submitted. This does highlight another feature, is that the administrative judge isn't the one who has to make the changes. They simply have to approve the changes. So some of our jurisdictions, especially in urban counties, the administrative judge may only hear civil cases. And so they leave it to the judge or judges who hear criminal cases to manage the indigent defense plan. And so oftentimes it would be submitted by that other judge. That in turn generates an email to the administrative judge or judges for this plan to approve the submission. So that's the way that works. Anyone with a login to our system does have the ability to make changes and submit those changes. In this case, it was Natasha George from our staff. So at times, if you need help with the process, we can step in and assist you with that. Sometimes it's maybe easier for us to upload, say, a new contract or attorney fee schedule and submit that for you. The only requirement is that your approving judges will have to approve it. And there may be more than one. This is a good example of that the local administrative judge, district judge, is one judge for 2 counties and another judge for the 3rd county. So you may have multiple approvers on those judges.
Wesley, we've got a question dealing with updates to forms. Christy's asking about a form change she requested in April that it sounds like we had a disconnect on, to update their indigency form from Spanish to English, and it appears it's still pending. Christy, if you'll get either email me or Wesley our contact informations at the end of the presentation. We'll also include this presentation when we send out the info to all the judges. Or you can send to the TIDC at tamu.edu. with the form that's supposed to be on there and which plan it goes on, we'll be sure to get that taken care of for you.
Okay, that sounds great. Well, that's the end of my demo, and I'm going to turn it back over to Bill to run us through the rest of the presentation.
Thank you, Wesley. And so as we go through with the program, I wanted to go back first to a question we had on one of the prior slides asking for the text from the two attorneys on a capital case. While we've got it on the slides, the exact language is also in all of the templates that are available on our website. We just wanted to bring it and highlight the changes in the text so that whether you're the judge, whether you're a court coordinator, you're another member of the county team that's doing the updates, you'd know exactly what you were looking for in the information, that to the extent there are conversations that need to happen before you update your plan, that it would already be there for you. The other item I wanted to highlight before I get to our sneak preview is that, as Wesley said, from the last time around, it will show the date the judge certified the plan. As many of you who've done this before are aware, every 2 years, the legislature requires the plans to be recertified. And we do that in odd numbered years. And so we start on October 1st with the certifications. And if you're seeing a date before that, even if you did changes during this past year, please recertify the plan so that we have a current one. If it hasn't been certified after October 1st, our team will be reaching out to you, asking you to get your plan certified so that we can show you as being current when we do the next round of formula grants and other service to your counties. And so with that, we wanted to give you a preview of coming attractions. As Wesley mentioned, this is our legacy website. We have been using it for the better part of 20 years. We know that the functionality is very limited. It was cutting edge when we did it in the early 2000s. And we also know that there is a lot of things that you would like to get back from TIDC, questions you've been asking us about information and about how does your county compare to other counties? What do other counties do? What are statewide averages? And so to do that, as part of our updating our website, you saw some of the direction we're moving. If you were on the family protection representation webinar with Crystal a little while ago, or if you're watching this on the recording on one of our other YouTube postings, the new system, instead of asking you to go through and just paste in either the text of your plan or upload documents to us with a PDF file or a Word file with your plan, is actually a plan builder system. It has the same templates that you have been seeing, except those templates include the statutory language, include our model language, and then they go through and they ask you, what does your program look like? Do you have a rotational appointment system? Do you have a public defender's office? Do you have a managed assigned counsel system? Do you have a contract system? Do you have some combination? Then it will ask you questions about how those work. Much like when Wesley was saying, you should go through and talk about how your contract system works. The new site will actually ask you to explain how does it work, what are the requirements, what are the expectations. Then it will give you questions like, what are the caseload limits? So that instead of having to remember to include that text, it will guide you to put in all the information that's needed. A lot of this, because we want to make it as user-friendly as possible, is in the form of multiple choice options, like which of the systems do you use, or do you use another one? And give us what that is. And then it has text boxes, because again, these are your plans reflecting what happens in your counties. And we want to give you as much information, as much opportunity as you need to describe what those local processes are. And a lot of this is the reality of systems reach the end of their lifespan and they have to be replaced. I don't know about you, but in the last 2 years, I've had to redo my online accounts for several of my utilities. However, unlike my utilities, where it's just so they can collect money from me on their monthly bills, we're giving you a direct return on your investment. Because of the way we have structured the website, with those multiple choice questions, with the fill in the blank information, we're going to be able to give you, as I mentioned earlier, data that counties have been asking us almost since we started collecting it. How does your standard of indigent defense compare to other counties? How does your attorney qualifications compare? How do your fee schedules compare? What do what does your system look like? And then you'll have the ability to do that in a dashboard. So you can say, compare my county to my neighboring counties, compare my county to the next 5 similarly sized counties, compare my county to the statewide average, so that you can get as much information as we can provide you. And again, we want to empower you to make the decisions that work best for your county and to get the best solutions and to be transparent about your process. So someone who finds themselves in the system or their support networks, be it friends, parents, significant others, are able to look at the information, find it, help them navigate the system, and ultimately help to get their cases resolved as effectively as possible and as quickly. With that, thank you all for joining us. We have a few other resources for you that we wanted to share. The first is a new feature we are adding this year, just like with family protection representation. We will have online office hours. They're going to be on October 15th and October 31st from noon to 1 Central Time. And those same emails and letters Wesley was talking about, we will include the Zoom links for them. Don't worry, you will not have to go through your questions in a public Zoom session. We will put one of our team members in a breakout room with you and work through to provide you whatever assistance you need, whether it's how to work the website, whether it's questions about the plans and updates, whatever would be helpful to you. If you run into issues with the website, as I mentioned earlier, the email to contact is tidc@tamu.edu. That's the Public Policy Research Institute at Texas A&M who runs our website for us. They respond very promptly. If you run into any issues, you'll have Wesley and my contact information as well. But if you run into just functionality with the website or password issues, login issues, the tidc@tamu.edu is the email to use. And then Wesley and I are here, happy to help you at any time. All of our information's there, and we will also share a copy of the PowerPoint. With that, I see a question from Lisa about, will budgets for each county be listed? Budgets for each county are available, but those are from your indigent defense expenditure reports. And it's actually not the budget, but the actuals that were spent on the year reported. They are available on our website currently through FY23. We are working on updating FY24, which frankly is pending information from some counties and also from, again, website updates, because our current website has again reached the end of its functional life on being able to update automatically. So that is another attraction that is coming soon. But absolutely, that's another piece of data that TIDC collects and makes available. If there's any specific information you need on budgets, again, please reach out to Wesley or I, and we'll get you what you need on it. And I say budgets because that was the question, but again, what we have is actuals. And with that, what other questions do you have? Let me stop the share, and we're happy to stay on for as long as would help you to work through the process of updating your plans and recertifying them. And Lisa, just seeing your thanks and clarification. Yes, we have expenditures for CPS. They are part of the IDER reporting, just like the criminal and juvenile numbers are. Maritza, great question. If your judge is currently down as the approver for the juvenile plan, then they will receive the email. Wesley, do you want to talk a little more about the process?
Well, if they're the juvenile board chairman, that's the key. Is if they're and there's places where the county judge is the juvenile board chair, but they aren't the juvenile court judge. So that's just my only clarification is by statute, it's the chairman of the juvenile board who's the one that'll get the email and is the approving judge, if you will. Once again, that if that's different people, the juvenile court judge can always be the one that makes updates, and the juvenile board chair will get a notice to approve it.
And again, I mentioned this earlier, but I do want to highlight because it's different, is while it is the majority of judges hearing cases for felonies and misdemeanors that set fee schedules and approve the plan, for juveniles, it is approved by the juvenile board, and then, as Wesley said, certified by the juvenile board chair. Okay, seeing no more questions coming in, again, you've got my email and Wesley's email. We are happy anytime. Feel free to call us, email us, however it would be most helpful to you. We are here to support you and your work dealing with your public defense programs. One other item I did want to mention about the forms, if you're looking to access forms you have uploaded, some of those will open automatically. Some of those you'll just see a box appear on your screen and it will just automatically download a copy of that form onto your computer. So if you don't see a window open immediately, go to your file manager. If you're using a Windows PC, look in the downloads folder and you may find that form there that you were looking for.
Oh. Well, looks like maybe we got to the end of the questions for today. Thanks everybody for attending. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.